We usually, this time, speak on the Parsha. Today we're also going to speak a little bit on the Parsha, but on a very general point, which I think will give us a perspective, an understanding of important principles of Yiddishkeit, of Jewish life, and of our place in the world. The Parsha of the week, as the whole Chumash itself, is called Shmois. Eile Shmois b'nei Yisrael haboyim mitzroimo. I just want to remind everyone that something that you don't understand because of language or whatever, please stop me. I prefer that than just to lose you. There seems to be some kind of an emphasis to point out these are the names of Bnei Yisrael. What's so significant in the names? And it is so significant, obviously, that the entire Pasha is actually referred to by the name of Shmois, and the entire Chumash is called Shmois. We know from personal experience and personal understanding, and also from Hasidus, that the name is a very external, superficial aspect of the person, of the entity. As a matter of fact, a name does not touch the essence in terms of having anything in it as part of the essence. A name is entirely external. It's just a means of reference. It's a reference means. It's a means to refer to something. But the thing itself is the real thing. Yes, sir.
I thought that a name in Lashon HaKodesh shows the essence of it. You know, like Adam Arishon, you know, he gave name to all the creation. It's not just a name, like, you know, why in English you call elephant elephant. It has no connection to the thing. You know?
Right. Okay. I'll touch on this. I'll come back to this. It's one thing to say, okay, this is what it says, but what is a name in your experience? A name is nothing but a reference.
What is the reference?
A means by which you can identify something. If I'm talking to you outside, I say, bring me the chair. How will you know what to bring? Because you know what a chair is. If I'm standing there and I'm pointing, please pass me that, so you know, pass me that. But if I can point to you and say, please bring me, pass me that, you know what it is by name. It's a reference. But what are you passing me? A chair, the name of a chair, or are you passing me a chair? Passing a chair. The name is just a reference, just an external thing. And yet, it seems to be of tremendous importance to such an extent that, as I said, the Chumash is called Shmois, and the Torah begins this whole thing, the names. Instead of saying, Bnei Yisrael came to Mitzrayim, and this is what happened. Now, here are the names of Bnei Yisrael. And Sharon has pointed out correctly that we see similarly in Pasha Bereshis, where it says that Hashem created all the various species, all the various animals, and He brought them to Adam Horishin. He brought them to Adam. Lirois ma yikra loy, to see what name will Adam assign to it. To see what name he will assign to it. Lirois, to see what name he will give it. And that's what it says. I'm quoting verbatim what it says. And then it says, And whatever name Adam Rishon will assign to it, that is its name. That's what it says. Kol ha'shikra Adam nefesh chayes hu Shmois. Again, seems to be such a great emphasis on name. And we see further in that parsha. It says, Vayikro Adam Shemes, Adam named all the behemoths and all the living things. And in that same vein, in that same phrase, on the same posuk, it says, and for Adam, he did not find a helpmate, somebody who would match him. He named. What does finding a helpmate have to do with giving names? There seems to be some kind of a correlationship between giving a name and something of such importance, so important as something that will be a partner with Adam. And altogether, Chassidus explains, like you mentioned, that this ability that Adam had to assign names to all the animals represented a profound wisdom, uniquely profound wisdom by Adam Rishon. And he was given such wisdom that Malachim do not have. Only Adam had that wisdom. The principle behind this is, behind both names and the fact that Adam was the one who assigned the names. When Hashem created Adam, now I'm going back even further back, right in the beginning, in the 6 days of creation. Adam Harishon was created on the second half of the 6th day, on Friday afternoon. And when he was created, right on Friday, on the very same moment that he was created, he was told by Hashem that this big world that you are observing, because when Adam came up, the whole world was already in full flourish. Everything existed. Everything was functioning. This big world which you see, I created for you. This is all for you. This is for you to eat. This is for you to fill, and this is for you to conquer. This is all in that same phrase. It should be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, and it should conquer it. This is the function, this is the assignment to Adam Rishon. Conquer.
Big.
Huge. What does conquering the earth mean? When Adam Rishon came to the world, as we said, the whole world, everything existed. Its existence was a perfect jungle. What's a perfect jungle? Full of existence, full of different species, totally unplanned, totally unfocused. Everything is doing its own thing. There is no correlation between one and the other. No sense of purpose, no sense of meaning. Everything was doing its own thing. The wild, on the most extreme sense. Then Hashem created Adam. And he said to him, all of this is yours. You subdue it. You make sense of it. You humanize the world. Kipshuha. You have to subdue and capture the world, and you have to humanize it. You have to reveal a purpose. You have to organize it. You have to give each thing a function. And that function has to be of the kind that encompasses the entire existence, which means that the very fact that this is God's creation, and God's creation has a purpose. You have to assign and reveal the purpose of everything that was created and show it how it will fulfill its function and its purpose and its mission in the entire world, as part of the world. The first thing that Adam Rishon did when he got up, also on Friday, was he gathered all the animals. In those days, the animals were truly subservient to Adam, because they saw in Adam the Selim Elokim. They saw in Adam a godly presentation. And he gathered all the animals, and he said, let us go, Beyu nishtacheve v'nichro nivrocha lifnei Hashem oiseinu. Come, let us go and bow and kneel before Hashem, our Creator. In other words, Adam Rishon declared to the animals, you have to there is a Creator. And this is what this world stands for. You think this is a wild, this is a purposeless and aimless being? No. There's a Creator. And He is right here with us. And we have to acknowledge, we have to fulfill His purposes. We have to recognize and reveal His presence. And thus, and as an aside, I want to say this, that if you know that the Shir Shel Yoim, you say every day a Shir Shel Kapitel Tilim pertaining to that day. This is the Shir Shel Yoim that the Leviim said in the Beis HaMikdash and the Korbanos. And on Friday, they said the Mizber Hashem Molo Geyus Lovish, like we say Friday. Why this Kapitel? Because Hashem Moloch Geyus Lovish means Hashem became king. Hashem was coronated. Hashem was coronated the first time on Friday when Adam Rishon declared Hashem's reign and rulership over the world. And this is why we say this Kapitel on Friday. Now that he was declared by Adam, or was recognized by Adam, that this is not a desert, this is not a wild world, not a wilderness, not chaos. Everything has a function. And it was up to Adam to tame the world.
To tame?
To subdue and to put in perspective. Tame the wild, it's called. Taming is making.
You do a dog, you know? Sit.
What language was that?
He said like you do to a dog, you know?
So Hashem brought all the animals to Adam. Liro is to see my Yitrole. What name will he assign to it? What does that mean? The name is truly a very external thing. But it's a reference that refers to its function. What is its place in the world? What is it supposed to do? What is it about? Adam Orishain had the task to assign to every creature in the world its place in Hashem's world. What is its contribution? And by assigning its contribution, by naming its contribution, it put every animal in place, in line, to be a part of the complement. Complement means the completion of the world, so that altogether they represent a wholesome world that lacks nothing. And everything is coordinated, everything has its particular place and particular function. So that the name that he assigned, yes indeed, it's only a name. Meaning, it does not describe the entity itself, but it describes a much greater thing than the entity. It describes what is its purpose. Why is it here altogether? Who needs it? What is God created for? That's the name. That's the name I told him Rishon assigned. Thereby, not only did he supply every entity, every creature with a function, but he had created such an aura, such a spirit in the world, that by virtue of the function, by virtue of just the presence of everything, it was obvious that this is God's world. And everything serves in line for the purpose for which it was created. And this is why the Pasuk goes on right after that and says, Adam named everything. But for himself, he didn't find an Ezer connector. He didn't find a helpmate. And it's all in line with giving a name. In other words, he recognized that his function is way above that of any of the animals. Where in fact, Adam, the human being is actually a representative of everything that exists in the world. There is a horse, there's a donkey, there's a lion, there's a tiger, there's a giraffe, there's a tree, there's all kinds of different things. The human being possesses the top qualities, the extreme and the most purposeful qualities of everything. And then some. And then some. In other words, he's beyond that. You know, you learned in the Pasha last week. You learned in the Pasha last week. Gur Arya Yehuda. Yehuda is a lion. Yido Nochash ala Yerech. Nochash is a serpent. Naphtali Ayolo Shlucha. Naphtali is a deer. And then Rashi at the end says, do you think that only Yehuda is a lion and Naphtali is only a deer? What about vice versa? No, they're all everything. By Vorach Haisam, he gave them everything. Everything. The human being is everything. It's a whole world in a microcosm. And then above that, he also has the godly soul, which elevates him completely above, which puts everything in context, puts everything in purpose. And from that perspective, he didn't find Ezek Nagde. He found all kinds of animals. He can identify, he can relate to the lion, he can relate to the tiger, he can relate to the horse. But this is all little fry. This is all small things. This is all individual little things. But where is me? Where is the real thing? Where is the whole world? That he didn't find. That's how it is all connected. So we understand from this a name, yes, it's superficial, but really it is superficial from the perspective how much this thing weighs and how big it is. A horse can be very big and strong and weigh a lot and so forth and has a certain form, but that's not a horse. A horse is that which is called sus, that it has this excitement for running. That's a horse. A chamoir has that capacity for patience and tolerance. That's a chamoir. Its size and that's all how this thing is being formed. But what is its real thing is its purpose, its place in the world, its function, how it serves man and how it fills a godly place in the world. To fill in something which I said many, many times, but some things are important to be said at every opportunity that we have, which is perfectly in line with what we're discussing now. And that is that when we take food, we take a fruit to eat, we make a bracha. Everyone here probably heard this point already. We make a bracha. And the bracha is hamoitzi lechem min haaretz. Hamoitzi, one who brings forth bread from the ground. Or boire pri ha'etz, one who creates a fruit from the tree. But how can you say he creates when it's right here in your hand already on the table? Do you see it being created? I mean, we have to be in some sense, we have to be realistic. We have to relate to what we're saying. If we said boro pri ha'etz, ha'etzi, in the past tense, okay, so you're thanking Hashem for giving it to you, or Hashem for giving me the money, give me the fruit. But that's not what we say. We say Hashem is currently creating this fruit. How can we say that? I explained many times. You have to understand. Like just now discussed, this phenomenon of Adam and Ish giving names to things. The fruit, without Hashem's declaration that it was created to feed as food to Adam, the fruit would be part of a jungle. It's like everything else. It was not food. The tree does not mean to produce a fruit for Adam to eat, or for you and I to eat. Couldn't care less what happens to its fruit. It's a jungle. There's a natural process. It produces a fruit, the fruit falls down, rots, and then it produces the next year another fruit. Nothing to it. When did this apple become a fruit? It became a fruit when Hashem assigned it a purpose. And he said, you are going to be food for Adam. Told Adam, this is made for you to eat. This statement that Hashem gave the fruit to Adam, this is the statement that made the fruit into a fruit. This is the creation. This is the godly gift. That Adam is not a cat crawling on the ground and finding something to eat and attached to a tree. Adam is a human being that Hashem prepared fruit for him and gave him, here, this is for you to eat. So that it is Hashem's presence and Hashem's declaration of declaring it that this is fruit. This is what created the fruit, and this is what the bracha is saying. So that when Adam, when we eat from Hashem's hand, we eat fruit that Hashem created, not that it's recreated. Coming back to our Pasha. Our Pasha and the Chumash is called Shmois. And we pointed out the names of Bnei Yisrael. What is the principle here? The Bnei Yisrael, they were a group of people that had certain principles, and they lived in Eretz Canaan. They lived their own lives, didn't bother anybody. They herded their sheep, and they had their principles, they had their philosophy, their beliefs, and they did their own thing. Then they came to Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was a place that is completely opposite of the principles with which this little group lived. Totally opposite. In every respect. In terms of morality, in terms of beliefs. Mitzrayim was a land that worshipped nature, did not recognize the fact that that the world is a creation, did not recognize that there's such thing as a creator. The exact opposite what this little group of Bnei Yisrael lived by and stood for. Now this group was sent into Mitzrayim. Aboyim Mitzrayim, they came to Mitzrayim. How did they come to Mitzrayim? How can they possibly merge and begin to function in Mitzrayim? The answer is Shmois. They came with their assigned names, with their function. This is the moment where their function was declared, was defined. It was very nice to live in Eretz Canaan. Now, however, came a time to start permeating. It's time to begin to conquer the world. And conquering the world means that you are dedicating yourself completely to this function. You're no longer an entity unto yourself. What is your definition? Who are you? My definition is defined by my name, by my function. What am I supposed to do? What is my assigned duty in Hashem's world? Bnei Yisrael, the Bnei Yisrael boy in Mitzrayim, the Bnei Yisrael came to Mitzrayim. With what ability, with what approach, that they have a function to transform and break through Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, that as I said before, believed entirely in nature. and would not have parted this one of the statements, and one of the chutzpahdik statements that Pare said to Moshe, as you'll learn a little bit later, Lo yodaite es Hashem. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know of such a thing. Bnei Yisrael came to Mitzrayim, and they were completely submerged, so to speak, put into servitude of Mitzrayim. They were subservient to Mitzrayim, so to speak, 100%. They were slaves in the most classical way possible. And yet, throughout it all, despite that submerge and that subservience and that abuse, their principal purpose, their principal function, their principal value of what they stand for, what their purpose in this world is, remained intact. Yes, indeed, they were broken, they were abused, but they were not destroyed, because this shame, this name, this purpose and this function, that remained with them. As the Gemara says, with the name that they descended in Mitzrayim, with those same names, they ascended from Mitzrayim. They came to Mitzrayim with their names, meaning assuming their full duties and function and purpose, what they came for. When they left, they were physically broken, but they withdrew from Mitzrayim everything that they needed to withdraw, and they came out with such profound insight, with such clarity, that soon after that, literally soon after that, less than 2 months later, they were prepared to receive the Torah from Hashem. Can you imagine that? Avraham Avinu did not marry that the Torah should be given to him. Yitzchok did not marry to get the Torah. Yankov did not marry to get the Torah. Yosef did not marry to get the Torah. Bnei Yisrael haboim Mitzrayim, 210 years later, after subjugation, they came through with such a pure, powerful clarity of what their names are, what their function in the world is, that they were able to receive the Torah. And they were able to come to Har Sinai, as we will learn later. And they said, Naaseh v'nishma. And as we explained many times, we'll explain it to Mitzvah when we get to it. Naaseh v'nishma is the most powerful statement that we ever made. It means that the world, the natural world, does not at all interfere, cloud our view. We have a clear view of what the truth is. We are ready to do what Hashem tells us to do because we see, we have a direct relationship to Him. This gives us an understanding. How is it that this whole parsha is called Shmois? Because in this parsha, this is where Eden began to function not just as individual people, but with their names, with their assigned function and purpose. Not only this parsha, but the entire Chumash is called Shmois. Because what subsequently happened in the Chumash, what it didn't accomplish subsequently. They went and they accepted the Torah, they received the Torah. And what happened at the very end of the Chumash? They built a Mishkan. And what was the Mishkan? The Mishkan was a physical, a structure made of material, of physical material. And in this physical entity was a godly presence in a revealed way. It wasn't just a name. They were able to reveal, to bring that revelation into the physical world, thereby fulfilling their total purpose of kipshuha, of breaking through the natural, the boundaries of nature, and declaring the world as being God's world, a godly world, with a godly purpose, and establishing God's presence in the world.
What names of 12 name of son of Yaakov? These names?
Shmois ben Yisrael by Messiah. Yeah. These are the 12 major paths of Jewish avoid, of Jewish effort, of our effort in the world. This carries, obviously, a most significant, a most profound reflection as to the function of every Yid, the life and function of every Yid. There is in every individual person, there is the person himself, his neshama, his guf. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that every Yid has a neshama, a godly neshama. And because of this godly neshama, every Yid has an ahava, a inclination, an association, an ahava, a desire for godliness, without any effort. It's what's called ahava mesuteres, a sublime, a concealed, and an undertone ahava that defines who the Jew is. And the Alter Rebbe says, this is wonderful, but that is not called Avodas Hashem. This is what Hashem created. What is the Avodas Hashem? What is the function that a Yid accomplishes? What is the Anoived Hashem? Anoived Hashem is not by what he is, it is by his name. Meaning, what does he do? And the Alter Rebbe explains right in the beginning of Tanya, in the 4th Perek, that there is glorious things in a person. There is a neshama, and there is seichel, there is the intellect, there is the emotion. And these are all wonderful, glorious things. But what is the real and the highest and the most effective part of the person? Machshava, dibur, u'maisa. Thought, speech, and deed. This is the external of the person. This is the name. These are not things that the essence of the person. A person does something, and one moment he does it, the next moment he doesn't do it. What he is himself is steady. It's a constant. It doesn't change. Machshava Dibur U'Maaseh, there's a continuous change, a continuous flow. He changes his thought. He changes his what he speaks about, what he says, what he does. This is not the real presence. This is not the real presence from the perspective of the human being, of the person. But this is the real presence from the perspective of God's creation. Because this is where a person recognizes, gives cognizance to the fact that he is not living in a jungle, in his own little world, and for himself and in himself. That he has a function assigned to him by his Creator to affect in God's world. Machshava Dibur U'Maaseh. This is how a person relates to the outside, to the world. Machshava is where a person understands the world. Dibur is when a person describes it. And Maaseh is when a person actually acts. This is the real person. From the person's perspective, hey, what are you talking about? You're telling me what to do. But I am, my neshama is much greater. That's how you see it. That's not how God sees it.
So what? Name has more connection to Chokhmah Bidadat than Neshama?
Name has more connection to Hashem because it describes the function.
So soul is more connection to Hashem?
No, the soul is your own, what Hashem made you, what your own experience. But what is it for? What are you here for? Hashem made you, made us. Did Hashem make us so that we would just be? Or Hashem made us in order to represent His presence in the world? To affect and to bring it out, to reveal it.
I don't know what connection of name to this. To reveal it and to...
Name, explain for name is assigned to the function. You know what function is?
Yeah.
Okay. That is what, that's why you call it name. When you say, what is the function of the person? In other words, when you know a person by name, it means that the person is a presence in the world, and he communicates, he has an effect on the world, not a person to himself. To himself, he doesn't need a name. It is to relate and to affect others that he needs a name. This is what we said before. Adam Rishon assigned names. All he did was assign names to animals. Big deal. The animals is already created. No, this was a whole process, whole important function of Adam Rishon, that only Adam was able to do it. To recognize and to bring out and to reveal the function of everything. Thereby giving cognizance and declaring that everything that exists is not for itself, but it is to fulfill its function, fulfill its purpose. Its name is what it is really, what justifies its presence in the world. just to give us a simple, tangible reference point of this concept, this table is made of wood and steel and all kinds of different parts. The table is here in this place not because it's wood, not because of its wood, not because of its steel, not because of its screws. It's here because it's a table. Because of its name. That's why it's here. That's why you're allowed to be here. If it were just wood and steel, you would take it out of here. It doesn't belong here.
So human being have a name not because his neshama is like its purpose and function, because what he's doing.
Because his neshama has a function and a purpose. What he's supposed to do. The name is assigned by what he's supposed to do, and hopefully he fulfills his purpose. Yes, sir.
I have a question. What is the significance? What's the expression of the significance of a name? Because if we don't really know a lot, like it wouldn't make a difference for someone that doesn't really know if Adam would have called it this. I mean, it would make a difference. I don't know what the difference would be. Like, even though the name is so powerful, but what did it make? What difference did it make? Because we don't learn the significance of something because of its name.
Well,
we're not in the level to.
Well, to answer your question, it's like this. In a very real way, but like you say, in a much removed manner, like not for everyone, for some unique people, the names do reveal a lot. And the names definitely are significant, and there's whole droshes on the name of a Sus, the name of a Shemesh, the name of a Yoreach, everything has significance. But the principle that the Torah says doesn't go through and names everything. It says, Odom Orishim gave them a name. And the principle that it has a name, that we can all recognize, we can all relate to understand that everything has a name and has a purpose. And from this, we have to draw a conclusion for ourselves and understand what are we doing in this world. Who are we and what are we? We have been created, not only human beings, but we are Jewish, we are Jews. We have a godly soul. We have insights that no other human being can have. Forget about animals. We encompass the entire world. Each one of us has qualities that really encompasses everything in the world. This is why, in our wisdom, as small as we are capable to understand every animal. We're capable to relate to everything that's going on, because we actually represent everything. What are we in reality? Is it that we should be able to understand the animals? Be able to enjoy dogs? I mean, what are we? We are to declare, to establish in this world by our actions, by our teaching, by our thinking, establish in this world that what is really taking place, what is the reality of the world, what exists. It is not the world that exists, it is God's will that exists in the world. It is the godliness in the world that is the real existence. This is our function. And this is why each one of us here, each one has given up something, in the world. They could have been building their big pyramids someplace and creating some kind of means of becoming some kind of a recognized entity in the world. And he says, no, that's not what I'm after. It's insignificant. I need some kind of purpose that defines who I am, and what is my purpose, and what is my function. What is my name? How do you describe my presence in the world? With this approach, with this shame, with this name, with this functional approach, and with this duty approach, this is how we break through the Golus Mitzrayim, and this is how we ultimately receive the Torah, and this is how we ultimately build the Beis Hamikdash. Our own Beis Hamikdash, in our own hearts, in our own environment, and the big Beis Hamikdash from Yetz Hashem that will be built soon by Mashiach. And that all is merumos, is hinted on, is contained in this one word. Eil Shmeis B'nai Yisrael Haboyim Mitzrayim. When we come to Mitzrayim, when we find ourselves in the world, we have to know that we have a name. We are there for a reason. Not by accident. And Hashem will matzliach everyone here and all Eden, that in fact we will all soon dance in Yerushalayim, in the Beis Hamikdash, with Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen. Is this the meaning of every star has a purpose?
That's right.
Even like the mind, like the smallest.
Everything. Every star has a name.
Where can I learn more about, like, what sikha could I, or like what could I learn about that? Like I want to delve into that.
Well, there are several sikhas. Well, there are several. Probably sikhas will give you reference to them. There are several sikhas. If you take these sikhas that are divided by the week.
Yeah. So Shmois. Okay.
So. Yes.
Hey,
oh, my wife.
Sister called.
Thank you.
Your sister called. I think she's probably one of
Sorry?
Yeah, I don't know.
On the agenda.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm going in the
Okay.
Hi, Joe. How's it going?
Hey, Paltiel,
Yes.
There's this gentleman from the community. He was asking me about like the Holocaust, and he's saying that like God has like God. I mean, what's the reason God made the Holocaust happen?
Yes, Rachi. Why don't you come? No, okay. All right. Okay, I didn't forget. Thank you, Rachi. Okay, bye.
I remember reading somewhere that the Rabbi has said that we can't understand like why the Holocaust happened. It's beyond
Definitely. Definitely. We cannot understand. But we can understand that we cannot understand.
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yeah.
The implication there? We have to be wise enough to recognize
When we went to the lake, we were throwing bread,
in fact, what exists is really much bigger than we can ever understand.
Yom Kippur on the lake.
He's only 14 years old.
We cannot expect that the world will be is so small that we could encapsulate it in our little brain.
For years, he's been coming to Shabbos.
Absolutely not. So therefore, if we cannot understand, it does not detract from our belief in the world and our purpose in the world and pursuing our business.
Maybe. I know.
And one thing there is like this. And he spoke then.
Any particular chaluk about the Shmois?
If you take a look, there is a mafteach. Yeah.
Oh, you can look at the table of contents. We'll get
Table of contents explains the subject.
So the sun is giving you the
Generally speaking, it's a very good book.
I want to delve into the.
Why?
I don't know. It's just,
Do you have any?
I heard it. It's resonance. Just knowing that we have, like we're called a Jew or we're called a man. I'm called David because, like,
It's something.
we have a specific function wherever we are at every
Right.
place. Yeah, I want to.
David, my son, can I see you something?
Work out and stamina because he's young and really tough workout. And that Abraham says, I'm not gonna stop until you tell me to do it. And when they got to 8 rounds, that's it. Out of round.
There was a speaker here yesterday from Stanford University.
Yeah.
Rabbi Greenberg.
Good exercise.
Yeah.
You know him?
No.
He's very young. He spoke yesterday,
No,
and I drove him to the airport.
Right.
He was saying that I was telling him I'm interested in Leactures, like involving also like about the kind of things.
Yeah.
He was saying that the main thing is not like the chazanas, but that you can inspire the function of it. To be on the same subject is that the people, whatever you can do that is kosher, that will inspire the Jews, like who are there, to come closer to Yiddishkeit, to pursue it, to
That's
wake
right.
up, to wake them up, with more kavana.
That's why we need chazonim that are chassidim. The chassidish chazonim.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the chazan stands there, and all he does is showing off his beautiful voice.
Yeah.
And people come there to listen to a concert. Chazan has to show the people, inspire the people that this is not a concert. This is nothing.
Yeah.
What made you decide?
Yeah. That's. He was saying that like the melodies in the davening, like what people can like sing along to, like that's all people like that a lot.
The melodies, everything is nice. The important thing is how you present it.
Yeah.
No, it's not funny at all.
But
This is what I said to you the other day. You have
Yeah.
to understand.
Yeah.
In the same, train of thought that you were talking about now, but Chazan has to be a chassid. Why don't we find that more in Chabad?
How many did you find and how many did you not find?
To tell you the truth, honestly,
Right.
I've been now since year 2000. I've been